The Lagoon Ghost, 7 bone-chilling tales you've never heard at midnight.
In the stillness of the moonlit night, whispers swirled around the lagoon, each shiver echoing the heartbeat of legends untold.
They say if you listen closely, you might hear the cries of a ghost who once roamed these very waters, a spirit with a story that could leave you breathless.
The mystique thickened like the creeping fog that enveloped the shoreline, wrapping around unsuspecting visitors like a chilling embrace, promising either dread or excitement, depending on who lingered too long. An unsettling aura clung to the air, as tales described flickering lanterns bobbing above the surface, casting eerie shadows that danced in synchronized horror, tempting the brave to venture near.
Can you imagine the rush?
You step closer, only to feel your heart pound louder with every cautious footfall. Eyes wide, you can almost taste the tension, a mix of fear and curiosity stirring within you. The lagoon had a heartbeat of its own, unseen waves crashing silently against the banks, the distant rustle of leaves whispering secrets that only the brave would dare to uncover. As darkness deepened, so too did the stories. Travelers claimed to have seen a ghostly figure emerge from the depths, hair floating like silk, eyes hollow yet piercing, drawing them in closer, betraying the promise of safety. Locals would shake their heads, warning others of the mystic pull of the lagoon, a bewitching trap that changed those who lingered too long, leaving them wandering under the moonlight, lost in a trance of their own making.
What happened to those who vanished? Were they swallowed by the water, or did they become part of the ghost's tragic tale? Hey, before we continue with this amazing story, I need to give you an important heads up. Many subscribers have reported that YouTube unsubscribed them without warning. Take a quick second to check the red button below to make sure you're still subscribed to the channel. I'd hate for you to miss any of the exclusive content coming soon. And while you're there, smash the like button, it really helps me out with the algorithm. Oh, and tell me in the comments, which city are you watching from? I love getting to know every amazing person who's part of this community. Your participation makes all the difference. Let's connect. With the echo of your own breath pressing against your ears, you take a deep breath, almost tasting the salty air. The allure of the lagoon draws you in, but what secrets lie beneath its murky depth? What twisted fate awaits those who dare to unlock its mysteries? No one knows the truth, yet many have tried and many have failed. Can you hear the locals' gasps as they recount the stories, foretelling the doom that befalls those who tread too close? The legend begs the question, will you become the next chapter in the unfolding saga of the Lagoon Ghost?
A low hum filled the air, a seductive lullaby that wrapped around Mia as she stood on the edge of the lagoon. Her heartbeat felt synchronized with the ambient sounds, the distant croaking of frogs, rustling branches, and the gentle lapping of the water. Each sound seemed to beckon her closer, daring her to uncover the eerie lore that spiraled in the fog. She had heard the local whispers about the Lagoon Ghost, and the stories tickled her imagination like a scratch on an itch.
Come on, it's just a story.
Her friend Jake had scoffed earlier.
You can't really believe that crap. But here she was, standing at the brink of legend, itching to experience the thrill that awaited. Taking a step forward, the chill seeped through her clothes, wrapping around her like a dark shroud. The lanterns flickered ominously, their glow casting long shadows that flitted across her skin. The place felt alive, pulsating, as if the darkness held its breath, biting back any screams that might dare escape. Mia! A distant voice broke the spell.
It was Jake, the grip of fear clear in his shaky tone as he waved to her from the safety of their campfire.
Don't go too far. But the warning only intensified her curiosity. What was out there? Did the ghost really lurk beneath the surface, or was it all a ruse conjured by the townsfolk to scare outsiders? Right then, she felt a sudden chill that sent shivers racing down her spine, a weight pressing down, as if unseen eyes were watching her. The water rippled, and as she leaned closer, a flash of white flickered beneath the surface. A graceful form, a figure that was hauntingly beautiful yet hauntingly wrong. Mia gasped, her breath hitching in her throat. Her heart raced as she squinted against the darkness, but whatever it was, if it was real, had vanished as quickly as it had appeared. Mia! Jake's voice grew frantic. Get back here! She hesitated, torn between the instinct to flee and the siren song of the unseen. What if this was her chance to uncover the truth? With resolve, Mia took another step forward, her feet nudging the edge of the water. Aroma of damp earth and decay filled her nostrils. A muffled sob echoed in her mind, drowning the world in confusion.
Just then, the lantern overhead began to flicker violently, casting sharp shadows and illuminating a figure emerging from the water, drenched in silvery moonlight.
It was the ghost. Or at least, something that looked like one. Hair trailing like seaweed, eyes dark pools filled with sorrow.
But there was no moisture in the air now, just a bone-chilling frost surrounding her. Mia, the voice was a soft whisper carried by the mist, seemingly reaching for her, pulling her closer.
No longer could she tell if it was fear or fascination that fueled her next move. All she knew was that she needed to understand. As she waded into the cold waters, the feeling of possession washed over her. With each step, she felt the lagoon's history seep into her skin, whispering promises of secrets, of love lost and tragedy untold. Suddenly, Mia slipped, and for a terrifying second, she thought she would be pulled under.
But before she could panic, the figure surged closer. A hand, icy and restorative, reached out to her. "Mia, find me," the ghost pleaded, and her heart twisted painfully as a feeling of urgency slammed into her, ripping the moment wide open.
What happened next? Did she resist? Who was the ghost?
As her vision blurred into dark waters, she realized she had only just begun to lift the veil. Little did she know, the lagoon held more than just one ghost, and soon, she would learn that some ghosts were meant to stay buried. The water engulfed her, icy fingers wrapping around her legs and pulling her deeper. Mia fought against the sudden shock of cold, her heart hammering wildly in her chest. Instinctively, she grabbed at the slippery bank, slipping further into the dark embrace of the lagoon. Breath caught in her throat, panic threatened to swallow her whole. But then, that ethereal voice surged through the frigid water, a lifeline that anchored her to the surface. "Mia, find me," the haunting call echoed around her, but for every note of despair, there was an alluring promise woven within. She hung on to that voice, her fingers reaching out, desperate to grasp the cold hand that hovered just beyond her grasp.
"Mia!"
Jake's sob burst through the fog of her thoughts. His frantic tone cut like a knife, grounding her in reality. The world spun as her mind oscillated between the ghostly figure and the warmth of her friend's voice. With a surge of determination, she kicked hard, propelling herself toward the edge and clawing her way back to solid ground.
Gasping, she scrabbled up the muddy bank, collapsing onto the damp earth.
Water streamed from her hair and clothes, pooling around her, blending with the debris of twigs and leaves.
"What the hell were you thinking?"
Jake's eyes were wide, his voice a mix of anger and relief. He helped her sit up as he scanned her face, searching for signs of injury.
"You were about to drown."
But Mia couldn't respond, her mind reeled from the encounter.
There was something in the water."
The words tumbled out of her as a chill seeped into her bones.
"Come on, you must ve imagined it."
"I told you to stay away from the edge," Jake insisted, though the unease in his own voice betrayed him.
"We should head back to the fire. Now."
Yet the fire's glow seemed far too safe, a deceptive comfort against the unknown lurking in the lagoon.
Darkness enveloped them, and with every passing moment, Mia felt the pull of the ghost's plea echo within her. "Mia, find me," it rang like a bell in her mind, an irresistible command woven with sorrow. She pulled herself up, shaking off Jake's restraint. "No, I need to know who that was. I need to understand." "Don't be ridiculous." Jake snapped, but Mia's resolve hardened against his fear.
No longer abandoned to the forces of the night, she turned back toward the lagoon, drawn by an inexplicable force. The moon cast hazy reflections on the water's surface, where she glimpsed that pale form once again, a silent reminder that she was not alone. "Mia," the ghost whispered, voice fading just like the mist curling around them. "Find me." With every step closer, shadows danced at the periphery of her vision, swirling like restless spirits, and she felt a twinge of doubt. What if Jake was right? What if this was more than just a story? As she leaned over the water's edge, breathless and trembling, the depth beneath was not just black, it was alive, a swirling void that seemed to beckon her. Just as she leaned farther, something grabbed her ankle cold and strong. Stifled screams ripped from her throat as she spun around, wrenching her foot from the icy grip before it could pull her under again. "We need to leave. Now!" she yelled at Jake, eyes wide with terror. But something told her this was only the beginning. As they sprinted back to safety, a chilling thought drifted through her mind.
What had truly reached for her in the depths of the lagoon? And was it even finished with her yet? The question loomed as the fire crackled behind them, its warmth a fragile barrier against the night's icy grip. Whatever lives in that water, Mia whispered, it's not just a story anymore. Had she unleashed something far worse than the legend? Would her curiosity lead them both into a deeper trap, one from which they might never return? With the warmth of the fire contrasting sharply against the bone-chilling cool of the lagoon, Mia's heart raced. Jake stood by her side, his brow furrowed with concern, glancing back at the dark water. You need to stop fixating on this, he urged, his voice shaking slightly, betraying his own fear. You almost drowned. Whatever that was, it's not something to play with. But Mia couldn't shake the grip of that otherworldly voice. The promise of answers tugged at her, relentless like a pebble in her shoe. We can't just ignore it. We have to know what happened. Jake sighed, and for a moment, uncertainty flickered in his gaze. What if something is down there? What if it's dangerous? Mia felt the weight of his words settle on her chest, but curiosity and fear were locked in an unyielding duel. We can't leave without knowing. She wouldn't back down. Not now. The ghost wanted her to find it. Somehow, she felt they were connected. The moon hung higher now, illuminating the lagoon's surface. Shadows stretched and twisted like fingers reaching for her. Mia glanced at Jake, and despite the fear radiating from him, she read his reluctance to abandon her. Fine, he relented. But we're doing this together, and if anything happens, we get out. No arguments. With a curt nod, she tightened her grip on the flashlight, its beam cutting through the darkness. Every step felt heavy as they approached the water's edge again. The surface rippled in response, as if the lagoon watched them intently. Mia, the voice floated softly through the air, ambiguous and pleading. It sent chills racing down her spine, each whisper crawling beneath her skin. Find me. The moment hung suspended, electrified with anticipation. Was it simply the wind playing tricks on her, or something sinister waiting just beyond the surface? Can you hear that? Mia whispered, her eyes darting over the water, searching for movement. The dim light danced, illuminating faint shapes beneath the surface, brief flashes of something pale, darting quickly, slipping back into the dark. Jake's intake of breath shattered the silence. We need to. But before he could finish, a loud splash erupted from behind them. They spun around in terror, eyes widening as they caught sight of a figure, someone stumbling through the underbrush toward them. Help! A voice cried out, breathless and strained. It was a girl, soaked and shivering, her clothes clinging to her frame like a second skin. Her eyes were wild, brimming with panic. It's coming! We have to get away now! A sick feeling nestled deep in Mia's stomach. What do you mean? The girl staggered closer, crashing down on her knees beside the firelight. I saw it! I was out on the water, and it had reached for me. I barely escaped. Terror hung thick in her voice like a fog. Jake instinctively moved closer to Mia, both of them staring at the newcomer with disbelief. You were out there? He questioned. But how? What was it? I don't know, it was so dark. But the voice, it wasn't just trying to talk. It was luring me down, trying to pull me under. I felt it. Her breathing quickened, and Mia's heart raced in sync, feeling the girl's horror. There was an urgency in the way the girl clutched at the ground, as if it was the only thing keeping her tethered. You can't look for it. It's hungry. It wants. The air thickened, every breath tinged with fear. Mia glanced at Jake, a silent conversation passing between them. Had they really unleashed something they couldn't contain? Another crackle brought them back, and they turned to the lagoon. Its surface began to darken, ripples expanding across the water like a grief-stricken ocean. Shadows swirled again, but this time they were larger, more pronounced, forming a figure moving just beneath the surface. Mia, Jake, find me. The voice now echoed more desperately, a dreadful urgency that spread through the air. What had they uncovered? Fear gripped her heart as she clenched her fists, torn between the need for answers and the instinct to flee. As the waves echoed around them, Mia's resolve hardened. They were standing on a precipice. And whatever lived in that lagoon was just warming up for a fight. What if uncovering the truth meant sacrificing everything? The chilling thought hung over them like a dark cloud, as the shadows began to dance closer. The girl's eyes darted to the lagoon, fear radiating off her like heat from the fire.
We need to run. It's not safe here. Mia felt her pulse quicken.
Panic threatened to engulf her, but she couldn't take her eyes off the water.
With each passing second, the shadows pulsated beneath the surface, almost like they were breathing. Was this the thing that had reached for the girl?
Heart pounding, she took a step back, the chill of impending dread washing over her.
Hold on a second.
Jake's voice sliced through the chaos.
We need to hear her out. He faced the trembling girl, firm yet anxious.
What did you see?
It had these eyes glowing. She gasped, struggling to breathe.
And it wasn't just the water.
It felt alive, like it was waiting.
As her words seeped into Mia's mind, they ignited every fear she had.
What sort of creature lurked in that darkness?
The thought alone made her skin crawl.
Why did it call you?
Mia asked, voicing the question heavy in her heart. The girl blinked, a flurry of emotions: confusion, terror, despair flickering across her face.
I don't know. I just knew it wanted something. It was pulling at my mind. Mia exchanged a glance with Jake. What if it was searching for us?
The girl shook her head fervently.
That's what it does. It tempts you until you can't resist. The last thing I remember was being drawn in.
Bubbles floated up around me, like the lagoon was trying to swallow me whole.
Another splash echoed from the depths, splattering droplets onto the shore. Mia's stomach twisted at the thought of it. Whatever was down there wanted them. We need to leave now. The girl grasped Mia's arm tightly. You don't understand.
But Mia couldn't shake the pull of the voice, the inexplicable connection. No, we can't just run. Just as panic surged anew within her, a loud crash erupted from the trees behind them. A branch snapped, and they all spun around to face the sound. From the underbrush emerged a dark shape, silhouetted against the moonlight.
Mia's breath hitched in her throat as she blinked, straining to see through the night's veil. Mia!
Jake! The shadowy figure staggered forward, breathless. It was another boy, covered in mud and leaves, eyes wide with terror.
You have to help me. It's after me.
What did you do? Jake questioned, frustration bleeding into the air.
What do you mean? I saw it.
The boyish voice trembled, every word punctuated with raw fear.
It came out of the water.
I thought I could fish, but then he hesitated, the weight of his tail pressing down like lead. It pulled me under. Something grabbed my ankle.
Enough! Jake yelled, his voice loud against the night. No more!
But Mia felt the truth swimming around her like poisonous tendrils.
What did you see?
She stepped closer to the boy, her heart racing.
Tell me. It was, and I'm not crazy.
It was like a face, twisted ugly. It had sharp teeth. The girl beside Mia gasped.
We need to leave right now.
But Mia stood frozen at the water's edge, heart thundering in her chest. The lagoon seemed to bubble back to life, shadows swirling more aggressively, the whispering voice rising in urgency once more.
Mia! Jake! Find me! With a jolt, she broke from her daze, realizing the unsettling truth. They were attracting its attention.
Before she could react, the boy screamed, pointing wildly at the lagoon.
Look! It's coming!
The surface rippled violently, and with a sudden force, a dark shape burst forth, sending water spraying into the air. Eyes locked on the creature, Mia's breath caught.
What had been coaxing her to the water? The shadows spiraled upwards. Some ethereal, some terrifyingly real. A grotesque figure rose from the depths. Panic surged in Mia. Trap or salvation?
In that moment, the line between danger and the lure of discovery blurred into darkness.
What did the spirit want from her?
As the creature loomed, Mia faced the weight of decisions. Understanding could be perilous, but not knowing could be deadly. She was tired of running.
What if the answer lay waiting below?
And then, just as the figure took shape, the world around them seemed to hold its breath. Every heartbeat echoed, every glance exchanged heavy with consequence. They stood at the edge of the unknown, hands trembling, hearts racing. Could they confront what they had summoned? As the creature's voice echoed once again, they felt the darkness closing in. Mia's heart raced as the creature's form fully emerged from the lagoon. Its eyes, glowing like malevolent lanterns, bore into her soul. A stench of decay wafted through the air, sending her stomach churning. It towered over them, its body slick and writhing, like dark seaweed intertwined with flesh. "Run!" Jake shouted, but Mia didn't budge. The whispers danced around her, growing louder, and that voice, her name, wrapped around her like a snake. "Mia," it beckoned, deep and resonant. The girl beside her squeezed Mia's arm, fear etched into her features. "It's calling you," she hissed. "You can't listen to it." The boy, still shaking, backed away, petrified. What if it's too late? He glanced over his shoulder, eyes darting nervously between the bushes. "It's got me once. It could do it again." Every instinct screamed at Mia to turn and flee, but something seized her mind. She could almost feel a pull, a tug in her chest that set her nerves alight. The shadows beneath the water creamed with a life of their own. They shimmered, beckoning her to come closer, to dive beneath the surface and uncover the secret hidden in the depths. "I need to know," Mia whispered, fighting against Jake's urging grip. The boy shook his head in frantic denial. "No, don't do this. It's a trick." The creature shifted, its many limbs writhing, twisting like eels in coral. It lunged slightly, sending shards of water cascading in every direction. The tether was tightening, the creature's dark gaze now entirely fixated on her as if they were bound by an invisible thread. "Mia!" Jake's voice sliced through her reverie. "You can't trust it." But all she could think was the possibility of understanding. What did it want? Why was it drawn to her? She took a cautious step forward, her breath shallow, caught between terror and an intoxicating sense of wonder. "Come to me," the creature crooned, the sound dripping like honey mixed with poison. Mia's chest tightened, and she swallowed hard. The temptation was overwhelming. In that moment, the water shimmered, revealing glimpses of memories, long-buried phantasmal images flickering across its surface like fractured glass. Faces, voices, lost whispers that resonated deep within her. "Mia, don't!" Jake howled, panic erupting in his voice. The girl tugged at Mia's arm, but she felt her resolve fading, her feet rooted to the spot. It was more than just a call, it was an invitation steeped in longing, in the mystery of secrets yet to be uncovered. She was on the precipice of something profound, and it thrilled and terrified her all at once. "Mia, if you want to know, come closer." The creature's voice curled around her thoughts, weaving itself into her consciousness. Suddenly, without warning, the boy beside her shouted in a broken voice, "It's changing. It's trying to pull you." Before Mia could react, the water erupted in a frenzy, bubbles furiously churning as dark tendrils shot up from the depths, stretching eagerly toward her. The tendrils twisted around her ankles, and panic flooded through her. "Mia!" Jake shouted, his grip tightening on her arm, but she felt the pull of the lagoon's depths beckoning to her very core. "Mia, fight it!" The whispers harmonized, drowning out the world around her. She could feel her heart pounding in sync with the creature's frantic energy. A sudden fear rocketed through her as her legs began to yield. The darkness from below clawed at her, tugging, urging, as if claiming her for itself. Then, as Mia teetered on the edge of being consumed, a single voice broke through the chaos, clearer than all the others, wrapping around her consciousness. "If you want to survive, you have to choose what choice." Mia's thoughts swirled into a chaotic cyclone. Whatever it was just threatening her, it demanded something in return. Would she risk everything and embrace the dark, or could she fight back, defy the depths trying to lay claim to her? The creature surged forth, ready to dive back into the depths with her. And as she stood there, caught between escape and surrender, every heartbeat echoed the question that haunted her. Soul, what sacrifice would it take to uncover the truth? The water surged again, and as fear sliced through her resolve, Mia knew that whatever came next would change everything. The tendrils coiled tighter around Mia's legs, their grip like icy chains. Each heartbeat pulsed with dread, echoing her indecision, as the creature's voice washed over her in seductive waves. "Choose," it whispered again, darker this time. Mia glanced at Jake, his face twisted with panic. She could see tears welling in his eyes as he struggled against the evil that threatened to engulf them both. The specter of dread loomed heavy above them, but the creature seemed to feed off that fear, its eyes gleaming with anticipation. "Mia! Please!" Jake cried, his voice rising above the chaotic whispers. "Don't let it take you." The weight of his words sank deep into her chest. She had a choice. But the pull of the lagoon was almost tangible, a kind of raw energy thrumming through the air, vibrating in resonance with her very being. She could feel it beckoning her, promising the mysteries of the abyss while simultaneously threatening her existence. The images flickering in the water splintered like broken glass again, beckoning her into an infinite void. Faces emerged from the shadows, features swirling and shifting, some hauntingly familiar. With each vision, a pinprick of recognition flickered inside her. A woman with auburn hair laughed joyfully, a man with weary eyes looked at her with uncontained love. "Are these my parents?" The thought ignited a longing that surged through her veins. "Mia! Snap out of it!" Jake's voice trembled, cutting through the visions like a blade. How could she break free? The tendrils twisted tighter. Fear shot through her limbs, but her heart beat wildly with a potent mix of rebellion and desire. I want to know," she shouted back defiantly, her words echoing in the stillness like a thunderclap that amplified her desperation. The shimmering surface of the lagoon roiled in response, the images intensifying in their urgency. And then, with a feral roar, the creature lunged forward, pulling her closer to the edge, its many limbs swirling violently. Mia shouted in terror, clenching her fists, ready to fight back. "No! I won't let you take me!" As if her determination manifested, an invisible force sprang forth from deep within her. The shadows that had threatened to consume her recoiled slightly, revealing a hidden pocket of light. In that instant, Mia grasped the reins of her own willpower. "Let go of me!" She felt her own voice rise in defiance, igniting a surge of strength she hadn't known existed. The tendrils slackened, pulsing erratically as Mia wrenched herself free. But freedom came at a price. The creature hissed in fury, its luminous eyes narrowing maliciously, just before the chaos erupted around her. Dark waters roared and thrashed, churned into a frenzy as the creature's anger became palpable. "Mia!" Jake cried, lunging forward, reaching desperately for her. "Get out of here!" But they were trapped in a maelstrom of fury and fear. The lagoon boiled and hissed, and suddenly, the creature released a bone-chilling wail, reverberating through the air, shaking the trees around them. Every instinct screamed at Mia to run, yet curiosity still clashed with her instinct for survival. "Mia, there's still time to choose." It echoed, now distorted, as if the lagoon itself were speaking. The weight of that choice loomed over Mia like a storm cloud. What lay beneath the surface, truth or despair? Will you save yourself, or uncover the truth of what haunts this place? She felt breathless, caught in a web of uncertainty. The darkness around them pulsated, and the surface shimmered with an energy that felt both inviting and terrifying. Staring into the watery depths, wondering what lay below, the question hung heavily in the air. In this moment of undeniable peril, she was left to confront an even darker truth. What would the secrets of the lagoon reveal if she dared to dive deep? With every muscle tensed, they stood on the brink of oblivion, and as the wailing subsided, an impending silence descended, thick with expectation. And then Mia knew whatever decision came next would send ripples through their fates, forever binding her to this moment. What price was she willing to pay for answers? Mia's heart thundered in her chest, a rapid drumbeat of defiance and fear. The lagoon, once shimmering under the moonlight, now loomed like a churning cauldron of nightmares. Each ripple spoke promises, some sweet, some sinister. The creature, barely a shadow against the glimmering surface, snarled, its eyes blazing with a malevolent light. She could sense Jake's desperation, felt it vibrating like a tight string ready to snap. Panic laced his breaths, each one a silent plea for her to choose wisely. "Get away from the water!" He shouted again, each word like a lifeline thrown to her. But her gaze remained glued to the liquid abyss. Every second she hesitated felt like an eternity pulled taut, stretching the very fabric of reality until it threatened to tear. The faces swirling beneath the surface were now tied with an unsettling urgency. Mia! Look at me! Jake's voice pierced through her musings, anchoring her to the present as she caught the frantic glint in his eyes. Fight! Fight? But what? The creature had a power, a seductive power that was partly hers. She found herself staring deeper, wondering what her parents had really looked like. Despair clawed at her as their faces twisted in and out of focus, a reminder of everything she had lost. Suddenly, the creature's tendrils lunged forward again, thirsting for her flesh, for her soul. They grazed her skin, sending icy chills racing down her spine. Mia gasped. The pull of the lagoon surged around her like a tempest, drowning out her thoughts. I need to know. I need to understand. As if her words touched a nerve, the lagoon quaked. The light pulsed from the hidden source, throbbing with a life of its own. The images shifted, morphing into a clear scene. Her family laughing together on a sun-kissed beach. But then, the brightness began to dim, replaced with shadows of grief and despair. Mia, the creature's voice slithered through the air, thick like fog. Join me. I will share their fates with you. No! Came Jake's roar. Mia's heart raced, caught between the dark promises of lost connections and the stark reality of the present. Could the lagoon truly offer her answers? Was the price worth it? She wanted to scream, to silence the haunting whispers, but all that escaped was a choked sob. Suddenly, an idea struck her, a reckless spark of rebellion. Memories of laughter broke through the haze, lightening her heart even as dread clung to her. I will not let you have me. The words blasted from her like a gunshot. The shadows recoiled, hesitating for the first time. Jake's eyes widened as he blinked back, tears of shock, clinging desperately to hope. Mia! He shouted, you can do this. You're stronger than before. He could finish. A bolt of darkness erupted from the lagoon, sweeping forward in a surge. Tendrils lashed out wildly, and the water snarled, smashing against the shore with fury. The creature's howl echoed like a siren lost in the storm. Remember who you are. Jake's voice was clear despite the chaos. Mia felt a newfound resolve. The choice was hers. She wasn't merely confronting the creature, she was challenging her own fears. With each breath, she reached deep, drawing strength from the memories and love she had known, pushing against the tide of the creature's rage. You can't control me, she cried, stepping closer to the edge. Suddenly, the lagoon erupted. Bright light shattered the surface, and for a moment, everything turned white. Then silence. Mia stood breathless, arms outstretched, as she felt a profound shift in the air around her. What new reality awaited? The air crackled with energy, and she felt it calling her beneath the water, just out of reach. What have you done? The creature's voice was now a frantic murmur, bereft of its former power. The true test was just beginning. Would the depths yield the truth she sought, illumination or more darkness? As the reflection in the water started to clear, Mia stood at the precipice of discovery, breath hitching in her throat, ready to plunge into whatever awaited. But just as she gathered the courage to leap, Jake's hand shot out, grabbing hers fiercely. Wait! Don't go alone! And in that moment, they both stood on the brink, the gulf between them and the abyss narrowing as the shadows flickered once more. Where would they go next? Into the heart of the creature's torment, or beyond to find the truth they so desperately sought? Mia felt the suffocating energy shift around them, the air thick with potential. The reflection in the water pulsed, unfurling like a dark flower awakening from sleep. Jake's grip on her hand became a lifeline, binding her to the world of the living, a tether to hope against the sinister pull of the depths. Mia, listen to me, his voice shook, urgency weaving through every word. You can't let it in. Don't let the promises dazzle you. Remember what you truly want. But I need to know. She cried, frustration boiling beneath her skin. What happened to my family? The tendrils rose in the water, glimmering like serpents poised to strike. They lashed back and forth, seeking entry into her mind, feeding on her confusion. The creature's voice twisted through the air, forming a seductive melody. Mia, join me, I will show you. Don't give in. Jake shouted, panic lacing his voice. That thing is a liar. Mia's heart raced, torn between the truth she craved and Jake's steadfast resolve. She could feel the creature's yearning, a dark hunger wrapping around her like a spider's web. Could it really show her the past? Could it reveal what had been stolen from her? No, Mia. Jake pulled her closer, fear etched deep into his features. You have to fight it. Please. Just as she opened her mouth to respond, the lagoon erupted again. The light pulsated violently, beams piercing through the darkness, illuminating grotesque shapes swimming just below the surface. Faces hollow and twisted flickered in the shadows, each one echoing her parents' features, laughing, crying. Mia recoiled, her breath coming in ragged gasps. Enough! She screamed. I'm not scared of you. The water roared back, retaliating against her defiance. The creature howled in fury, its form shifting and blurring, growing larger with every pulse of the water. It lashed out with renewed intensity, tendrils coiling around Mia's legs, an icy grip meant to drag her into its depths. Mia! Jake's voice was desperate, filled with terror. He tugged at her fiercely, his determination breaking through the chaos. You can't give up. With every ounce of strength she had, Mia summoned a burst of clarity. Banish the fear, she thought fiercely. She focused on the warmth of Jake's hand, the steadfastness in his eyes. I want to be your puppet. She roared, her voice resonating with power. The creature screeched, a banshee-esque wail that clawed at their ears, but Mia felt the pull of the water start to slacken. As the shadows recoiled, she turned and met Jake's gaze. It was fierce, filled with a wild hope that sparked her own courage. We'll do this together, he said, and the emotion in his voice grounded her. With a deep breath, Mia recited the words of strength she'd kept close all her life. I am not alone. I have love. I have memories that can't be taken or twisted. The lagoon shook violently as light exploded from their joined hands, dispelling the darkness. The creature shrieked, its form collapsing like a house of cards. But just as they thought they had won, a chilling echo pulsed through the night air. The shadows coalesced, morphing once more, revealing hints of other life forms, trapped and hopeless specters lost within the lagoon's depths. Mia, the spectral figures whispered, a cacophony of fear and sorrow. Help us! Mia took an involuntary step back, heart racing. What had she unleashed? The true battle loomed closer, and the shadows didn't just threaten her, they threatened everything she loved. Jake, what do we do? She breathed, fear creeping back in. With the creature's fury returning, and the anguished calls for help echoing around them, one question crystallized in her mind: were they strong enough to face the darkness together, or would they be pulled under as the kingdom of despair rose again? The chaos finally subsided into a mocking silence as Mia stood toe-to-toe with the essence of her greatest fears. The lagoon's surface simmered, dark and wild, churning like a storm about to unleash its fury once more. With Jake holding tightly to her hand, Mia felt the weight of the spectral figure's cries echoing in her heart. She wasn't just fighting for herself anymore, she was fighting for them, too. Mia, we have to act now. Jake urged, adrenaline racing through him as his eyes darted around the lagoon. Together they took a step back, forced to confront the haunting reality before them. What if the only way to free them is to face the darkness? She whispered, her heart thundered in response. Dread clawed at her insides, but there was something sharper, a yearning to understand, to connect the dots and finally beat back the shadows that longed to claim their lives. We can't go back, Jake said, his voice steadier now. This isn't just about escape, it's about breaking the cycle. Mia's mind raced through the horrors she'd felt, the weight of spectral sadness pulling her deeper into despair. Was this creature, it wasn't just a monster, it was the embodiment of a pain that needed release. The faces swirling in the water were alive, stained with loss, and they were connected to her. What if they're bound to it? She mused aloud, shocking herself with the realization. What if they were kept here because this creature fed on their grief? Yes. And we can't let that continue. Jake replied, his grip tightening around her. We have to help them. With a small spark igniting between them, they stepped together toward the lagoon's edge, the energy in the air thick and electric. You have to acknowledge your pain. Mia shouted into the abyss, clenching her free hand to her chest. We're here. We hear you. We want to help. Mia, no. Jake shouted, sensing the enormity of her risk. But she pressed on, fueling herself with memories of joy and love, amplifying the vibrations of their bond, reaching toward the figures drifting in the dark. Reveal yourselves. Mia demanded, voice steady now as waves lapped furiously. The mist swirled as if caught in a vortex, and the lagoon shimmered with a transcendental light. The tendrils recoiled, waiting, hoping, and then, from the depths, soft whispers transformed into pleading cries. Help us, Mia echoed, many voices, each one trembling with regret, sorrow, and untold stories that begged to be told. Mia gasped, locking eyes with the first figure emerging, a woman in a tattered dress, hair floating around her like ghostly tendrils. You're trapped? She breathed, heart aching for this lost soul. Yes, lost like you, the figure replied, a deep sadness weighing her voice. Bound by pain, forever caught in this cycle until someone is brave enough to face the darkness. Tell me how? Mia asked, grasping the enormity of what was unfolding. Release your past. Accept the loss, embrace our stories. That's how you break the grip, the ghost said, her hollow eyes filled with glimmers of hope. You must acknowledge the hurt, unite your strength with those you care about. Only then can your love break the chains. Mia's eyes darted to Jake, the fear melting into determination. They shared an understanding, a moment sown by shared trauma and intertwined paths. Together, Mia said, as their fingers intertwined, she felt the warmth of their connection burn through the cold air. I'll never forget, she spoke, her voice literate with affirmation. I'll remember the happiness, not the despair. We'll make sure the memories speak of love. Suddenly, the shadows surrounding the lagoon surged, but now their thrumming pulse felt achingly familiar, like a reminder of loss, that darkness was also a part of her story. Mia, the creature growled, pain lacing through it like acid. You dare defy your fate? I am not bound to it. She shouted, her voice rising with resolution. I will always choose love over despair. In fierce unity, they shouted together, their voices intertwining with passion and clarity, free them. The water surged, vibrating as tendrils erupted toward them, battling back against Mia and Jake's defiance, but they stood strong, fists clenched and intertwined. The glowing figures surged forward, the anguish of lost souls mixing with the determination they ignited. Light cascaded across the lagoon, and with a burst of energy, Mia and Jake collided with the pulse of grief and love, bursting through the darkness. The air exploded in a blinding flash, illumination rippling across the surface of the lagoon. As the light enfolded them, the creature shrieked a cacophony of rage and despair. It was too late. The souls intertwined, lifting free from their cold grasp, merging together in a dance of healing, reclaiming their identities as they glimmered bright in the light. Then, like a dark curtain drawn back, the shadows faded into nothingness. With the spectral figures released, Mia gasped for breath, sinking to her knees as the world around her returned to calmness. The moon shone down, reflecting peaceful ripples across the surface as clarity filled her heart. Jake pulled her into an embrace, trembling. We did it, Mia. We broke free. Tears streamed down her cheeks, a union of relief and sorrow. We did it together. She smiled through the rawness, finally feeling the weight of loss lift slightly from her shoulders. She turned toward the lagoon, where calm waters glimmered in the moonlight, grateful to have faced the darkness together. The past was neither monstrous nor haunting, it was just a chapter in their story. Looking ahead, they both felt a renewed sense of freedom, ready to step into a future unburdened. As dawn broke softly, the horizon painted in hues of orange and gold, Mia knew they were forever changed. They sought the quiet solace in each other's presence, tied by a shared experience that had redefined bravery. In the light of day, they knew their truths. Together, they had triumphed and opened the door to healing, not just for themselves, but for those lost souls, part of the legend they had whispered in fear. Now freed with gratitude, with hearts lighter than before, they walked away from the lagoon, the echoes of change whispering behind them. A new dawn awaited, filled with promise and hope. And as they turned one last time, the lagoon shimmered quietly, a guardian of love and loss, holding tightly onto memories now released. What a journey it has been! What a haunting, legendary tale acquired in the darkness, illuminated by their courage. You need to subscribe now to witness the next chapter of amazing stories. This is the moment to show your support. Smash that like button now to help us feed the algorithm. Flood the comments with your reactions and theories about this thrilling conclusion. Don't wait even one more second to share this video with at least 5 friends who need to see how the power of love can conquer even the darkest of fears.